All right. Let's talk about manufactured home loans. Okay. I'm going to tell you kind of like the down and dirty. This is the challenge. There's only really four banks in the United States that provide home loans to manufactured homes, specifically when it comes to chattel. This is where some people get confused. So they'll call their regular bank, right? And I deal with it all the time. They call their regular bank or their credit union or one of the other going banks and say, "I want to buy a house. I need to get pre-approved." Bank goes ahead, pre-approves them, and then when they find out that they're looking to buy a manufactured house, most banks, not all of them, immediately go, "We don't do manufactured homes." It's just like their thing. I apologize. I don't know if you guys like heard that, but I'm drinking one of these and it's kind of getting me. So basically what ends up happening, right, is the bank just says no before they actually start asking the question. So what I would recommend is if you want to use a credit union or you want to use one of these other banks or a bank that you typically go to, when you tell them you're looking to get a manufactured home, you got to be very clear with them and tell them, "Hey, I'm looking for a manufactured home that's on owned land and on permanent foundation that's June 15th, 1976 or newer." If you say those three things, almost every bank can do a loan on a manufactured home. That's going to be VA, FHA, conventional, even USDA, even though a lot of lenders do not want to play with USDA loans. But long story short, if you tell them that, then they will typically say yes. So why is that important? If you don't, and you just say manufactured home, almost always they're going to immediately say, "We don't do that." And then you get your heart broke, your credit already got ran, like you went through all the hell of providing all this paperwork, and it just kind of sucks. And eventually you end up finding me or somebody like me. And there aren't many people like me that really specialize in manufactured homes. Okay. So, A, what type of a home are you looking to buy? Because that'll dictate or direct where you're going to go. So if you're looking to buy a manufactured home that's pre 1976, we'll start there. Pre 1976, everything else doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's on owned land. It doesn't matter if it's on permanent foundation. It doesn't matter if it's been renovated. I deal with this often. People call me up and say, "Yeah, but it's a beautiful house. They just renovated it." And the reason why is there's all these videos all over online with, "You're going to get rich by renovating manufactured homes." They go buy a pre-76 home. They put a bunch of money into it by looking at comps that are not comparable. I think that's what frustrates me. And then they overprice it. Yeah, it's a beautiful house, but at the end of the day, it's still a mobile home. It's still pre-HUD. It's still a depreciating asset, and no bank wants to touch it. There's really only, there's a couple banks that will. Anything pre-1976 is straight up just going to be an ugly chattel loan. Just expect it's an ugly chattel loan. The only banks that are going to provide financing to that is going to be 21st, okay? Or it's going to be Credit Human. Okay, that's it. They're the only ones that'll do pre-76. And I told you there's four total banks in the entire U.S. Here's the challenge. So like one of my competitors, Santiago. Santiago's only in Southern California and a couple spots in Arizona. I'm in, 29 states? Patriot Pacific, we're in 29 states. So that's the difference. I can compete with them all day. But they also broker to the same people that we broker to, because that's how it works. So somebody like me, I'm a mortgage loan originator. Most everybody that you're going to run into that's a lender is a mortgage loan originator, and they broker deals with different banks in order to provide that bank's products. And they originate that loan for that bank and provide you that loan. You get money, right? But not everybody, when it comes to the manufactured home side, are able to actually broker deals with these different banks. And the reason why, these banks want to see performance. They want to work with somebody that actually performs. They aren't looking for people like me or mortgage loan originators or brokers. So that's why it's so hard to find somebody that specializes in manufactured home loans. They just don't have the broker deals. But you found me, right? So pre-76, super ugly loan. You're talking about heavy down payments, super high interest rate. Just view it like this. It's basically a used car lot financing on the outside of a base in the middle of nowhere, a military base in the middle of nowhere. Like you're just, "Oh yeah, we're good. What? No credit, no problem." It's ugly. It's an ugly loan. So I would highly recommend, as I always do, you should always be looking for something that is June 15th, 1976 or newer. You really need to set that as just the gold standard. All right. Don't look at older ones unless you're going to pay cash. If you're not going to pay cash and you're looking for financing, June 15th, 1976 or newer. Okay, next. So if it is on owned land and it's on permanent foundation, you can do VA, FHA, and conventional. You can always talk to your bank or credit union or whatever mix you like to use, and the odds are good they're going to be able to provide that if you tell them that information. If they still say no, then you're going to want to find somebody like me that actually will sit there and say, hey, no problem, I'll hook you up. Now, anything that is not any one of the three, if it's not on owned land or if it's not on permanent foundation, let me stop. If it's not on permanent foundation, but it's on owned land, I would highly recommend you talk to your agent. And when you write that offer, you look to have the seller put it on permanent foundation prior to close of escrow. And I think this is important because not a lot of people talk about this. I think I did a video of a guy that was just harassing me. He's like, it's not permanent foundation. It's not on concrete. It's just the idiot because he doesn't know what he's talking about. Look, when it comes to the legal beagle stuff, what is permanent foundation? So some states have what's called a 433A. There's other variations of that certification, but almost every state is going to have some variant or variable of engineering report that goes with it. There are most manufactured homes are going to be on some variation of a pier system. Okay, those piers can be strapped and they can be made to be permanent foundation. What does that mean? It means at that point, once it's certified, made and certified as permanent foundation, it is immovable. It cannot be moved. Yes, it can. You could still move it. I'm telling you, this guy was just going after me. Look, any house, if you've ever watched one of those cool videos, especially like in the Amish community, they all come out together. There's like 500 of them, and they move this house. You can move any freaking house. You can move any house. The point is that it's made to be immovable and a permanent structure, permanently affixed to the land. And there's ways to do it. It's relatively inexpensive. So if you want to have that done so you can get the loan that you're looking to do, which is always going to be cheaper. It's always going to be cheaper to do VA, FHA, or conventional over a chattel loan. I would recommend you write that in. Now, let's get back to the other stuff. So if any one of those three variables adjust, where it's not June 15, 1976, it's not on owned land, or it's not on permanent foundation, then you're going to run right into the chattel category. And this is where, again, there's only three banks at that point, unless you're on the coast of California. California coast has a separate bank that only does the coast of California. There's only three banks in the U.S. that are going to provide that. So you're going to want to find somebody that's brokered with one or all three of those banks. You can call me. And they are able to produce or provide a chattel loan. You can always expect that that's going to be 1 to 2 percentage points over the going rate. You can always expect that the down payment, it's typically about 5% down. And to me, I always say that's the big non-negotiable. But here's what's really cool. Most of the time, you can roll your closing costs into the loan. And most of the time, you can even buy down your rate by borrowing money from the bank and rolling that into the closing costs, which gives you a cheaper rate and actually a cheaper payment by doing that. So just keep that in mind. But again, the reason why it's so difficult to find somebody that specializes in chattel loans is as a loan officer, most loan officers don't want, it's a lot of work. They're self-processed loans. It's a lot of work. And it takes a certain type of expertise. You have to do quite a bit of it. The other one is it's very difficult to get brokered with the banks that provide those loans. So it's that. There it is. There's the way it works. There's the different types of loans, different types of banks. There's only a few, like I told you, once you go into chattel. But if it's not chattel, and please don't forget, June 15th, 1976 or newer. If you want to do a VA, FHA, or conventional loan, or even USDA, you have to meet these three. June 15th, 1976 or newer. On owned land. Permanent foundation. Documented permanent foundation. So that's the delineation between them. There's the different banks that provide the types of loans, and that's how you find somebody that can actually get you that loan. All right, everybody. Appreciate you. Have a good one. We'll talk later. Keep watching. Subscribe.